We are just a regular family, and raising 2 young children can be a lot of work. Thank you. We love our children very much, and we are happy that our family blooper, our family error there on television, brought so much laughter to so many people. Yeah, we thought it was a disaster. I immediately called or texted or emailed the BBC. I communicated with the BBC immediately afterwards, and I apologized to them. I said that if they never called us back or never asked me to be on television again, I would understand. And I had assumed that this would end any television appearances, that people would see this and assume that, you know, it was just wildly unprofessional, no one would ever call me again, that, you know, I'd never speak on television again. And then, yeah, I guess people started cutting and pasting it from their DVRs or something like that, and I guess it started taking off. I began to notice the Twitter notifications, and then BBC called us and asked us if they could cut it and print it. Perhaps next week, when things are more normal, if there's still interest, perhaps. Well, I'm not that interesting. I had done, earlier in the day, I had done CNN and stuff like that. I mean, I do this a lot, and I sort of create this veneer of professionalism inside my house, right? You know, I sort of straighten up my house and whatever, and you know, I wear a jacket in front of the camera and stuff like that, but the rest of our house looks like anyone else's house. And I think the reason why this went viral is because my real life sort of punched through the fake cover I had created for television.
기분이 나쁘거나 뭐 그러진 않았고요. 그러니까 그 사람들이 그런 본 경험이 있기 때문에 당연히 그렇게 이해하고요. 근데 좀 이제는 저희 나라도 마찬가지고 세계적으로 좀 다문화 가정들이 많으니까 이런 계기로 인해서 조금 바뀌었으면 좋겠다 이런 생각했고요.
I think the impeachment, the removal of the president does illustrate. Yeah, they all sort of clapped when I came to work. Yeah, they thought it was hysterical. I mean, the video was funny. They thought it was funny. I noticed that some of my former students have begun talking to the media and sharing pictures and stuff like that. You know, like me wearing a Santa Claus hat from, you know, the last day of the year. You know, most of them just thought it was amusing. I don't think it reduced their impression of me or something like that. I taught my classes normally yesterday. I will teach them again normally tomorrow. Yeah, they just thought it was funny. I don't really think it left any major impact on their education. I certainly hope not. That's not what they should be coming to school for. They can stay in the room because they really... On the one hand, I think it does. I think the impeachment, the removal of the president does illustrate that corruption is now the single biggest domestic political issue in Korea. I think increasingly that cannot be avoided. On the other hand, that's sort of the downside. And I think on the upside, Korea just gave the world a textbook lesson in how to impeach and remove a president civilly, peacefully, non-violently. Korea's institutions worked the way they were supposed to. Everyone followed the constitution. Park Geun-hye left office peacefully. You know, the military didn't go out on the streets. It didn't turn into Arab Spring. I think that's actually, you know, that's a fantastic achievement. Very few countries impeach their presidents. Richard Nixon's case is the most obvious for many people, but Richard Nixon resigned before he actually was impeached. The Koreans actually completed the entire impeachment process with almost no violence whatsoever. The only violence was at the very end by the Park supporters on the very last day. But for 4 months, 6 months, millions of people were on the streets. No one's car got burned. The protesters even picked up their trash. I find that's just a model of appropriate civic behavior. I think Korea this is your finest hour, in my opinion.